A black hotel maid's phone call changed everything. Zoe Johnson's cell phone rang as she cleaned the Grand Plaza Hotel lobby. She'd never normally answer during work, Manager Richard's strict rule for cleaning staff. But she recognized the number, the University of Amsterdam. After 6 failed scholarship attempts for her linguistics master's program, this could change everything. Zoe Johnson, she answered discreetly behind a marble column. Professor Van Achten spoke in perfect Dutch. Zoe responded fluently, discussing her application in flawless Dutch pronunciation. Then she noticed the sudden silence. Richard Coleman, the billionaire hotel owner, stood nearby watching with surprise. Next to him was Manager Richards, eyes blazing with fury. "I have to go," Zoe said hurriedly in Dutch, hanging up. "Johnson, in my office. Now." The walk to the basement office seemed endless. At 29, Zoe was the only black woman in housekeeping with a college degree, something Richards constantly ignored. "You know the rules, Johnson. No phones during working hours, especially in common areas," Richards fired off as soon as the door closed. "And talking in what was that? French, Dutch," Zoe corrected instinctively, immediately regretting it. "I don't care if it was Martian. What I care about is that Mr. Coleman, the owner of this entire hotel chain, saw a cleaning lady ignoring her duties to talk on the phone in the lobby. The injustice burned like acid. The white receptionists took personal calls regularly, she'd seen Jennifer laughing on her phone just yesterday. Zero consequences, ever. I'm assigning you to the convention center bathrooms for the next 3 months. Maybe there you can practice as many languages as you want without embarrassing the hotel. You can go. Be thankful you're not fired." The convention center meant double cleaning shifts after corporate events with no overtime, Richard's classic punishment. That night, Zoe cried in her small apartment, staring at her Georgetown linguistics degree on the peeling wall. 6 years cleaning hotel rooms while sending resumes that went nowhere. The next morning, HR called her up, uncharted territory for cleaning staff. Coleman's office was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. At 45, he was famous in business circles for his Midas touch, turning bankrupt hotels into luxury properties. And now he was looking directly at her, really seeing her for the first time. "Dutch, French, Italian, and Mandarin, correct?" he asked bluntly, consulting an open folder on his massive oak desk. Zoe blinked, confused. "Yes, but how did you? Your resume. I asked for it as soon as I heard you yesterday. Georgetown honors degree in linguistics with honors. Fluent in 6 languages, 2 Asian. International publications. And you've been cleaning my hotel for 6 years. 6 years. He closed the folder, his eyes sharp. "May I ask why a Georgetown-educated linguist is cleaning my bathrooms instead of working in international relations?" Zoe took a deep breath. "I sent 47 resumes to international relations. All ignored. Tried for internal transfer 12 times, always denied by Richards and Whitmore, your operations director." Coleman's eyes narrowed. He'd hired consultants 3 months earlier to investigate turnover among qualified non-white employees. "Tomorrow a conference starts with Dutch and Chinese executives. I need someone fluent in both with cultural understanding. I want you as international relations coordinator. $5,000 a week, starting today." Zoe almost dropped her purse, more than she earned in 3 months. An hour later, she stepped into the executive elevator with a new badge reading, International Relations Coordinator, and full access to hotel systems. Her reflection in the polished brass showed the same woman in the same modest clothes, but everything had changed. Passing Richards in the hallway, Zoe maintained a professional tone, "International Relations Coordinator, Ms. Richards." At Mr. Coleman's direct request. "Georgetown degree, fluent in 6 languages including Mandarin and Dutch. My resume has been in the hotel's files for 6 years, along with my 12 transfer requests." Richards went pale as Zoe continued on her way. In HR, analyst Zoe Williams confided, "I saw your file 3 months ago and couldn't understand why you were in housekeeping. I tried talking to Whitmore but he shut me down." While preparing conference materials, Zoe discovered critical errors in the Mandarin translations, mistakes that could cause serious diplomatic incidents. The previous translator used terms considered offensive in formal corporate Chinese, she explained to Coleman. "They know basics but not cultural nuances essential for business." Whitmore assured me he hired the best translators. "Cost a fortune. He hired someone without checking credentials," Zoe said, pointing to errors in a partnership proposal. During the conference, Zoe glided among executives, switching effortlessly between Dutch and Mandarin. Whitmore approached with a frozen smile. Richards clearly misjudged your potential. Impressive how my Mandarin fluency was overlooked when the hotel spent $50,000 on inadequate translations, Zoe replied calmly. I have confirmation of receipt for every email over 6 years, including those alerting you to translation errors. Zoe Williams had given her access to contract records. The translation company belonged to Whitmore's niece, who had no formal Mandarin experience but charged expert rates. On day 3, a Dutch businessman recognized Zoe. Aren't you the student who wrote that brilliant article on linguistic variation in international business? I've cited your work at conferences. Coleman watched as Whitmore grew increasingly uncomfortable. On day 4, Zoe caught Whitmore escorting a young woman, his niece, with flawed translations marked, final. The same critical errors persisted. She rushed to Coleman's office with proof. Whitmore is replacing my correct translations with his niece's flawed versions. I have evidence this has happened for years, with inflated payments 3 times above market rate while qualified candidates were systematically rejected. Zoe from HR burst in with hiring records, consistent pattern of rejecting qualified non-white candidates, especially women, over 5 years. Whitmore entered without knocking. The Dutch are asking about translation inconsistencies. Johnson must have mixed something up. The silence was icy. Thomas, I'm seeing $50,000 payments for incompetent translations while qualified employees clean bathrooms, Coleman said. Your niece has 0 formal Mandarin experience. She has certification. Fake. Zoe interrupted, placing a printed email on the desk. Beijing University never certified Ashley Whitmore. You're nobody, a cleaning lady playing with the big boys, Whitmore spat. PhD candidate in applied linguistics from Georgetown with 6 international publications, Zoe corrected calmly. All in HR files you've repeatedly lost. I've called an emergency board meeting, Coleman announced. I want your resignation in 30 minutes. 2 hours later, the executive auditorium was packed. Coleman took the stage with Zoe. We discovered systematic discrimination and nepotism costing millions. Ms. Johnson, whom some knew only as a cleaning lady, saved us from diplomatic and financial disaster by correcting translations that would have cost millions. A presentation showed employee qualifications versus positions, hiring statistics by race and gender, and overpriced contracts with managers' family members. Thomas Whitmore is terminated. Sarah Richards is suspended. We're implementing a complete audit of all hiring over 5 years. He smiled. And Dr. Zoe Johnson is our new Global Director of International Communications. The auditorium erupted in applause, especially from the cleaning crew in back. As Whitmore was escorted out by security, he muttered, "You won't last a month." Zoe smiled. Her blazer pocket held a recording device that had captured every threat and racist comment he'd made while covering his scheme. 6 months later, Zoe's office overlooked Manhattan. The plaque read, Drive. Zoe Johnson, Vice President of Diversity and International Relations. The Invisible Talents Program identified 147 employees with skills below their capabilities, 83% from minority groups, she presented to the board. Translation costs down 78%, international satisfaction up 42%, diversity ratings now industry-leading. Sarah Richards watched from California, now managing laundry at a second-rate hotel after accepting demotion. Whitmore worked as night manager at an Arizona roadside motel, blacklisted from luxury hotels. His niece had returned her inflated payments and was studying Mandarin through a Coleman Foundation scholarship. My mother worked as a hotel maid with a college degree but never got a job in her field, Zoe told the camera. She told me, your worth isn't dependent on their recognition. She never lived to see this moment. She launched a scholarship fund for hotel employees' children. The first beneficiary, her former colleague's daughter who dreamed of studying hotel management. Later, Zoe received a letter from Amsterdam. Professor Van Achten offered her a visiting professorship, having followed her rise since that fateful call. Ironically, I have Richards to thank, Zoe thought. If she'd just given me a warning, I might still be cleaning rooms. What began as a phone call in Dutch became a revolution. The message was clear. Talent exists everywhere. What's lacking are opportunities and recognition. True justice isn't just punishing discrimination, it's rebuilding systems so prejudice has nowhere to hide. Zoe's sweetest revenge wasn't seeing her antagonists fall, but watching hundreds of people like her finally rise.